We're going to talk about changing unwanted emotions using TSG skills. I'm Nicholeen Peck, and I teach parenting and good communication all over the world through the lens of the principle self-government. And in this video, we're talking about how self-government can help us change unwanted emotions. In this video, we're going to be talking about a little moment from my life that I think I've never mentioned before on this channel. And then we're going to be talking about what you can do to change your emotions or to change somebody else's unwanted emotions. So I'm actually an emotional person. I would think that would surprise a lot of people because many people come to my channel thinking, okay, Nicholeen's not emotional, so if she cannot be emotional, then I cannot be emotional. Well, there's something I want you to know. Every person is a bit emotional. There are very few that can completely remove from emotion. In fact, I'm more of an empathic type person, which means that I feel the people around me a little bit more acutely than others do. I pay emotional attention to other people. So when I speak to people, like if I'm standing on a stage in front of a group, I am feeling the people around me. I'm making eye contact and sensing what they're taking in and not taking in, and I can do that intuitively. So I'm actually a very emotional person, and there was a time in my life when I was very emotional. I even described myself to my friends as emotional. Now, to be fair, this was probably a time when I was going through puberty, and what girl isn't a little bit more emotional, maybe dramatic during those puberty years, okay? That's pretty common when all of a sudden the estrogen levels are on the rise, right? I described myself that way. I thought of myself that way. Even up until the time I got married, I had declared that I was an emotional person, and I thought that I was. I could cry more easily, right? Because I could feel things a little bit more acutely. Interestingly enough, I also had a little bit of a mean streak in me. I would power struggle, especially with my older brother and the one that was just younger than me. So the two, it went boy, girl, boy, boy, girl in my family. The two boys that were immediately around me, ooh, I would fight with them. Right? I was pushing so that they would not dominate me. And so I remember one time my parents left to go on a date, somewhere. They went out some night, and they said that they were leaving both of us in charge. Okay, you don't do that. You don't leave both children in charge, my older brother and me. No, 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 no. The girl wants to mother everybody. The oldest son is like, I'm the oldest, I'm the biggest. It did not work out. So we spent time arguing over who was the most in charge. I declared because I was a girl, I was the most in charge. He declared because he was the oldest, he was the most in charge. Neither made any sense really. But in the end, we had this argument, and I remember getting a broomstick and going and hitting my older brother, and him getting a stick and hitting me. I remember fighting with him and becoming very emotional, very angry with him, because I did not want him to tell me that I wasn't as much in charge as he was. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. One of those moments where you think, you know what? Sometimes children just get out of their right minds. And that was definitely one of those moments when that happened. I sure wish that I would have had a teaching self-government skill called disagreeing appropriately at that time. And by the way, there are videos on this channel about disagreeing appropriately. Maybe I'll put some links to those in the description below or something like that so that you can find some information on disagreeing appropriately. I wish I would have had that skill, because then I could have talked to my brother about it in a little bit more rational way. And if I would have stayed in the rational prefrontal cortex part of my brain, then I probably wouldn't have gotten a broom handle and started beating my brother. That was a really great way to show that I was in charge, right? Not. So we've established that I actually, by nature, am a pretty emotional person. But the funny thing is I'm not really that emotional now. Why? Okay, maturity helps. The more life that you go through, the more experiences that you have, the more skills that you learn, the more you feel like, I don't need to, get all worried about that. I've been through that before. Okay, that helps. Experience and maturity help. But there was something else that helped me more than anything else. So I decided to do treatment foster care for troubled teens. It was a life changer for me, game changer. In fact, I wouldn't even be teaching any of this stuff if I didn't decide to do that at a key time in my life. So I had 2 children of my own. They were toddlers and babies, 1 toddler, 1 baby. Okay, 1-year-old, 3-year-old. And my husband was going back to school. We were switching careers. I'd worked hard to pull away from my career. And now suddenly we weren't going to have any money. I didn't know what to do. And so we decided to take in treatment children. Well, I had to go through intensive teaching for this. It was many, many weeks of training because it was going to be very high level care. And it matched what I went into in college. So that was a good thing, right? I loved psychology and went into a lot of that. And to teaching. So when I started going to the training for these therapeutic children, there were light bulbs flashing everywhere. Suddenly, they were teaching me things, skills. They were phrasing things in ways about these troubled children, preparing me to handle their problems that I had never thought about before. Even in all of my education, all of my experiences, being raised with a father who was a communications guy, a debate coach, communications teacher at the university. I mean, he knew how to talk to people. And I learned a lot from him, but he did not understand skill development. And suddenly, when I went into this world of skill development, it brought me back to what I had taught myself skill-wise. I'd made skill sets for myself for 2 problems that I had when I was about 14 years old. And it changed my relationships then and helped me not to be as emotional with situations with my parents. But this took it to the next level, this training that I had. It was incredible. And sadly, the place that trained me doesn't even do the full training that I got anymore. They've changed because of different modern practices. But no worries, because here I am. I'll teach you what I learned from them, plus more. Plus what I developed to go along with it. And that is self-government. I learned how to govern myself. What does it mean to govern yourself? It means you examine yourself, you analyze yourself regularly, you make a plan for where you're going, and you decide what is going to lead you to freedom, and then you chart that course, you follow the plan consistently, and then you check up on your progress and see how you did with that. That is what it means to self-govern. And it's the recipe to freedom, actually. People who are not in control of themselves are always worried about how someone else is controlling them. I don't ever have to worry about somebody else controlling me. Now, this is the strong-willed nature side of me that probably led to some of those emotional things when I was younger, but I don't have to worry about anyone controlling me because I know that I am always in control of myself. I have analyzed it, I have planned for it, I have done it again and again and again. It's an empowerment in my parenting that actually people ask me to come and share with them all over the world. They want to learn that empowerment. They want to have some of that. What is that magic sauce, Nicholeen? That's what everybody wants to know. Well, it's the principle self-government. It's right in the title of my website, teachingselfgovernment.com, where you can go to find out all kinds of things about self-government and all the products and trainings and everything I have and all the free stuff. Okay, you can go there. But self-government, understanding it and living it are 2 different things. You can say, that's a principle I want to live, that's great. But when you're in the moment, making yourself stop, making yourself say, am I calm? And then shifting it. Saying to yourself, is that a feeling or an emotion? Did I have a thought? What was my thought? Was it a productive thought or what is a non-productive thought? Taking the time to analyze yourself, which a lot of people don't want to do, is power. And it leads to deliberate action. It leads to better communication overall. That doesn't mean I'm perfect. I still make mistakes. I'm sure that sometime within the last week or something, probably even day, I've made a communication mistake. You know, if you're my husband, you get to see all the communication mistakes. But I see them though, I focus on them, and then I try to fix. I try to catch them. That's what it means to be self-governed. It doesn't mean to be perfect, but it means to know where you're headed and to keep yourself going in that direction. So let's talk about some things that you can use to help with your self-government. All right, so this book right here, Parenting a House United, is a great read. It's a bestseller. It's a book where I really go into the nuts and bolts. It's not thin, you know, it's a decent size. But I really go into a lot of the nuts and bolts of self-government. So if you're a reader, that's a great way to do it. There's also an audio on our website. It's a kind of a special edition that's fun that you can find at teachingselfgovernment.com. What are you going to learn in this or in my course or program? You are going to learn skills that you need for success, such as how to follow instructions, how to accept no answers, how to accept consequences, how to disagree appropriately, how to master your calmness, how to troubleshoot a difficult situation, how to have a good meeting or communication session with somebody, how to give feedback to someone in a way where they won't take offense and it will actually motivate them forward, how to teach another person in a way that will motivate them. These are all the types of things that are learned in this book and in my course. So definitely get the full training, even though here, on the channel, there's a lot of great things you can learn. It isn't all of it. So I do need to say that. So let's talk about these emotions and our unwanted emotions. How does this help us with our unwanted emotions? Well, just calmness, okay? Just even calmness. That one principle of calmness is going to change our emotional responses. So let's talk a teeny bit about emotions. In fact, on my website, there's an entire training about emotions. It's called The Value and Mastery of Emotions. And I talk about how there's productive emotions and non-productive emotions, which means there are wanted emotions and unwanted emotions. Because if they're non-productive, do we really want them? No, we don't. Okay, there are some that get in the way. What do? Well, we say, okay, what's the emotion? The emotion is anger. I don't want that. Well, let's back it up. What happened? What was the behavior or what was the start of this? Well, someone told me that I couldn't, use their car or something, and I really need to use a car. So then I get a feeling. The feeling is disappointment. That feeling is going to happen. I'm disappointed. I wanted something, I didn't get it. Essentially, that's a no answer. Did you know even if you're an adult, you get no answers in life? So it's essentially a no answer. There are 4 steps to accepting a no answer. I'm not going to go into those now. We'll touch on those later. But those 4 steps are going to help you. So if I can't do those 4 steps, then I might get a thought that's a non-productive thought. My thought might be like, I can't even do this. They're stopping me. I'm never going to be able to get, to wherever I need. This is going to hurt me. They don't care about me. Uh-oh. Now I'm thinking things in my head that are non-productive. That is going to lead to anger and frustration. So instead, I need to say, wait, when I feel disappointment, I need to tell myself a truth. This is a no answer. What do I know about accepting a no answer? Oh, here's the steps. I can look at the person or the situation, keep a calm face, voice, and body, say okay or ask to disagree appropriately, and then drop the subject. So either I can say it's completely within their right to deny me access to their car. They have a right to that. I need to be okay with it and drop the subject. Or maybe I should use that skill disagreeing appropriately, because that's always an option. And that's a whole other skill set. There are 7 steps to disagreeing appropriately. It's super powerful. It's the gateway skill to self-government. Just knowing those 4 basic skills that I teach in the Teaching Self-Government program and that are talked about on this channel, as well as on my website, are a game changer. When I started teaching them to children, I knew I had to learn them myself. I changed me. So even though I still have all of the great things with being an emotional person, now I don't have the unwanted things of being an emotional person. And I would like to give you something that can help you maybe with some of your unwanted emotions. And that is a free course. It's a little mini course. It's just about the one principle of calmness. On my website, I have a course, and it's a mini course called the Calm Parenting Toolkit. It is not my full training, but it is a great first step. And I'm gonna give it to you for free. So if you go to teachselfgov.com/toolkit, you can get the Teaching Self-Government Toolkit for free right now, and it will share with you 10 tools for how you can be calm when you didn't think that you could. So click on the link in the description below this video to that Calm Parenting Toolkit today.